Good evening, this is Jacob Folds, your sculptor, and I'm going to show you how to make a pair of cats hanging out together. And we're going to start with self-hardening clay. It comes in many different brands. It dries very hard, but it is not waterproof. And the main thing to do is when you buy it, make sure that it's moist and pliable, so it's soft enough to do this with. And if it's not, don't buy it, look for another box. You just open the box and it's wrapped in plastic, and just take your finger and press it into it. If it does that, then you're good to go. A few tools we're going to use. Some of these are household tools that I like to use. A butter knife, a paring knife, a couple different paint brushes. We use both ends. And sculpting tools. You know, this one I've had for many years, and I used to have this for many years, and I lost it, and I just found it, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. They usually come in a bag of 8 to 10 for about 10 bucks. And you can get all this stuff at an art supply or craft store. Also, you want a mister. It keeps the clay moist as you're working on it. And some kind of cup or can full of water. And let's get started. So, I started this kind of series. The first one I did was pigs. 2 pigs together. And then I did dogs, and I actually just uploaded that tonight to YouTube, and people are already watching it. And then I thought tonight I would do cats. So what I do is I start off with a ball of clay, and then I'll take my 2 thumbs like this and I'll press in, and that makes the outline for the eyes and the nose, the bridge of the nose. Then I'll take a little bit of clay, just a little tiny bit, roll it into a ball, and put it at the end of the nose. And just blend it in. And what I mean by blending it in is I just smooth one part of the clay into the other. See how I'm doing that? That's blending. And then I'll take make another ball about this big and put it right here on one side of the nose. This is where his whiskers would go. And I'll roll 2 of those, same size. And press them into place. And then blend them in. I use my thumb a lot. I use my hands a lot for sculpting. You'll get used to doing one or the other tool or hands, but I do recommend that you use your hands as much as you can because they're really wonderful tools. Okay, now I'll take the back of a paintbrush like this and press it in to make the eye socket for the eyes, both sides. And then I'll take a little ball of clay. That's too big, so I'll pinch off some. These are for the eyeballs. Still a little bit too big, so pinch a little bit more off. There we go. There we go. Now I'll take a butter knife and I'll make his pupils. Like that. Then I'll take another piece of clay and I'll roll it into a little noodle like this, and I'll put it above his eye, and blend it in to the top of his head. Then I'll take this tool here and I'll lift it a little bit just to make it look like he's a little perkier. And do that on the other side as well. Usually when I'm sculpting a piece like a cat or something like that, or most anything really, is I will do the head first. He looks a little angry, really. I can fix that. See this right here? If that is not smooth there and carved in a little bit, it'll make him look mean. There we go. Now I'm going to put the bottom part of his mouth on. And just smoothing a little bit here and there, blending. Okay, that's one. So we need to make another one. And the next one I'm going to make is a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Roll a ball, press your fingers in to form the outside of the eyes and the bridge of the nose. A little ball at the end of the nose. Two small balls for the whiskers. Blend them in. You can take this tool and just blend it, carve it in here a little bit, fill that space, fill the space there. Now this one I'm going to have his eyes closed. Oh. Oh well. You got kind of dirty. Kind of clean them up a little bit. This one here, I'm gonna have his eyes closed. So I'm just gonna take a paring knife and draw a line here, kind of concave. Like that. And then put the bottom jaw on. Okay, set those aside for a minute, and I'm going to make a little bit of a base for them to sit on. So I'm going to roll a ball, and then make it oblong shape. And then squish it. Going to push it onto the table here. Sometimes it does help to have a board to work on. So just make it flat. Then take a piece of clay. And this is going to be for the body of the bigger one. And set that there. Before we connect the two, take a tool, dip it in water, and score both sides. Dip it in water again, score both sides. Wet it and score it, and just stick it on there. Take another piece. I'm doing this off camera just to speed things along a little bit. I can't believe I found this tool, this other tool. It's been a long time. I just was digging around in some boxes and let's see. Okay. I'm going to flatten this out a little bit for their necks. And I'm going to do it again, wet it and score it. And the heads, bottom of the heads. Here. You can blend it in. Do like cats do. So you want to wet and score that and bring the heads together. Okay, we're going to score along the heads and cheeks on both sides, and press those together so they stay better. Just gonna blend this here a little bit. Going to take I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of blurry problems with this camera sometimes. Apologize for that. I'm going to roll a noodle of clay for the arms, the arm of the big cat. And you know, it's when I do this, or you know, whenever I have interaction, or even when I don't, between two critters or whatever, you know, I try to bring some kind of life or whimsy into it, because, you know, why not? Rather than just having some stiff sort of thing. So I'm just putting the arm on the back there, and right around like that. Then the little cat, I'm just rolling it off camera. Gonna put it up like that, and then slipped off, but I'm not sure how that looks. It may look a little funny. Actually, I'm not so fond of that. Okay, everything will dry out here if we don't mix it up. Okay, I'm gonna make a thigh for the little cat, and just roll a ball and flatten it and stick it on there. Instead of wetting and scoring, you can keep everything really wet, and that will do a good job too of keeping things together when it dries. And I'm going to try to do something with the big cat's face, because he still looks like he's not real happy. So I'm going to get another piece of clay. I'm rolling off camera. I'll show it to you though before. Just basically rolling a leg. And get everything wet. Rolling off camera. Sorry about that. There's not much room here, is my reasoning. So basically you just roll a ball and then you roll a noodle. One thing we can do is put a little bit of a smile on their faces. Put blending with the tool here. It's a fun it's fun to sculpt. It's and there's all kinds of ways to sculpt. I when I'm teaching these classes, this is how I do it, but I don't generally sculpt this way unless I'm, you know, trying to teach somebody, because this allows you to see something and be able to visualize it as a 3D object and bring it to fruition. That's what it does. It's called simple shapes. That's what I call it, simple shape sculpting technique, and that's what it does. But there's all kinds of ways to sculpt. There's carving, and there's using, well, as far as clay work goes, there's you can take clay and you can piece it. You can just build it like this by taking little pieces and building it up to a certain, you know, to a certain shape or something like that. I do that a lot, in fact. I just sculpted a piece this afternoon of it's a form of a thinker, and you know, kind of like Rodin's thinker, but different, my own version, of course. And that's how I did it. I didn't even do anything like this. You know, it just depends. Sometimes I use this method and a number of other methods too. Let's see what the back looks like. We haven't even looked at it. So I can just blend in some of this here. And don't worry about how rough it is. If it's rough, we will be using a paintbrush and water to smooth it all out when we're done. So don't worry about that. So here's an example. You know, I'm carving now, and a while ago I was using the simple shapes to sculpt. So a while ago I was using the simple shape sculpting technique only. Now I'm doing carving. So there's all kinds of ways to there we go. I got a smile on him. And we can do the ears here. And you know, also the speed at which you take this up, it's different for everyone. Some people can sculpt very fast, you know, with little, very little instruction and practice, and other people it takes longer. So the thing is, you should just practice. Just try to practice a lot. And you can try different things. I've got a bunch of videos I've done on all kinds of things, so you don't have to do the same thing. So you could do this one and then you may not be happy, but then you could try something else and be happier and, you know, progress. Get everything wet here. This clay, by the way, right here, I took a bunch of pieces that I didn't need because I do a lot of mold making. After I make a mold, I don't really need the piece, the original. So I took a bunch of pieces and recycled the clay. I wrapped it in a wet towel and recycled it. And this clay it's a little weird, but it you know, you can see I'm sculpting with it, but it's a little like it wants to dry out again, is what it is. But it's still okay clay. So if you're wondering about how to do that, if you're gonna have clay you want to recycle, I put it in the kitchen sink, wrapped it in a wet towel, and let it sit there all day. And it was pretty much fine. I bet if I let it sit overnight, it would probably be even better. So now what we do is, it's pretty much done. I didn't put the tails on, but you just take a brush like this and you just brush it and brush it and brush it until it becomes the smoothness that you want. And you can see it doesn't take that long as long as you work at it. In fact, this little leg here that I'm doing right here is almost smooth enough. So the one thing that you want to watch out for is taking a very wet paintbrush and going around the eyes, because it'll muddy up your work and it'll muddy up your work and mess up the eyes or whatever, you know, the small detail work. So this clay, okay, I don't know what happened, but my camera shut off, so I don't know where I am here. This camera is so old. But what I was saying is I go through enormous amounts of clay, so I really should be recycling it. And I make molds of almost everything I make, so I can reproduce them and sell them. And this is how that's how I earn my living. And so you know, I have to be able to, you know, try to extend resources if I can. So another thing is make sure that your brush, if it's really wet, if I took this and just wiped it across the eye, you can imagine it would mess it up. So be careful of that. If the eye is done, leave the eye alone, or be very careful around it. And then we just take it and brush it until you get it to where you want it, and which would be, of course, smooth. A couple other things here. You can, for something this small, if you're doing toes, you can just take a sharp tool and just draw little lines. And that would make little toes. Or you could just leave it without any kind of definition whatsoever. You know, that's really entirely up to you. I tend to just, on something like this, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave the toes undefined. But you might like to do that. So that's about it, and just go around and you know, blend and brush and use plenty of water, and what you're not working on, make sure you spray it so that it doesn't dry out on you. And that is how you make a pair of cats. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and visit my website at jacobfolger.com. I have a number of new sculptures up if you want to see. And thanks again for watching, and have a great night.